Okay, hi, and welcome very much to this live stream session today, where we will be discussing problem gambling and gambling related financial harm and the impact that this has not only on individuals but affected others as well. It is estimated that for one problem gambler, there are 10 others that are affected by that financial harm, which is really quite shocking. So as this is Safer Gambling Week, it's a perfect opportunity to discuss this from both perspectives. And we are going to explore the relationship that Payplan and GamCare have. And by doing that, hopefully answer some of the many questions that have been sent to us today on this topic. And on that, we thank you very much for all the questions that have been raised on such an important but very emotive subject as well. So first of all, we'll just start off with some introductions. So my name is Emma Gibbons, and I am the Vulnerable Client Manager at Payplan. Now, Payplan have over 20 years experience in offering free debt advice, and I've been with the company for just over 9 years now. Now, over that time, I have seen some real changes with regards to vulnerability and the different disclosures that our clients share with us, the different conversations that our clients are having and how open that they really are. And one of these is gambling and the issues that that can cause. Now, we've seen an increase in gambling related disclosures from our clients over these last few months in relation to the current pandemic and lockdown, and that is due to many reasons that we will look at today. Over the recent years, we've also started to see the stigma around disclosing a gambling problem start to be removed. However, there is still such a long way to go. And one of the aims of the session today is to encourage problem gamblers to talk to us about their situation so that we can discuss the help that is readily available and really raise awareness of the money strategies that can really make a difference. Now, this includes signposting to our external partners. So on that, I would like to introduce Megan to you from GamCare. Megan.
Hi Emma, really nice to be with you and to anybody else watching as well. I'm Megan, I work in the development team at GamCare. So for those who haven't heard of GamCare, we're the leading provider of treatment, support and information on problem gambling in Great Britain. So we're here for people who gamble themselves and experience problems because of that. Or if you're impacted by somebody else's gambling in a negative way, we're also here for you as well. So we have a helpline which is over the phone or on web chat, and that's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to listen to you and perhaps advise you on a one-to-one basis on steps that you might take to overcome some of those issues. And we also have a treatment offer where people can have ongoing support via CBT, either face-to-face, virtually, or we even have online modules, ways of taking that as well. So we're here for people experiencing those issues wherever you're at with it, whether you're only experiencing kind of problems maybe starting to begin, or you're not too sure what to do about something, or whether things feel more intense and the problems are further along the line. And we're also here for people wherever they are in the country as well. And yeah, similar to you, Emma, I've been working at GamCare for 4 years, and it's been really interesting to see the change that we've, felt from the general public, but also organisations like yourselves. The awareness of these issues is definitely growing, and it's definitely getting the focus it needs and deserves. Still a long way to go, obviously, but we're always happy to be speaking with organisations like yourself on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Megan. So just to really further explain the relationship then that Payplan and GamCare have, we've worked very closely together for just over 12 months now, which has included the gambling related financial harms project that I've very much been part of with Megan and her other colleagues at GamCare, which has been a great learning experience for all of us. But as part of that relationship, Payplan can also signpost clients to GamCare for that additional support, exactly what Megan's just been describing. And this can be simply giving out the contact details for GamCare, or in some cases, even making a direct referral itself. Now, that has been an essential lifeline really for some of our clients. As I said, during the pandemic, we have seen an increase in clients that have disclosed a gambling issue to us, and also previous gamblers that have fallen back to gambling during the pressures of lockdown. So the relationship and that project has really, has recently come to fruition in the last couple of months, has been prevalent in supporting our clients. And consequently, this relationship is more important than ever. Megan, is there anything else that you would like to add to that?
Yeah, just that link between finance and gambling is something that has been present ever since GamCare started talking to people about this 20 years ago. Been able to see that there's a really strong link between gambling harms and financial harm. And, you know, pretty easy to imagine what that might look like in some cases. Obviously, every time you gamble, there's a greater chance that you'll lose than that you'll win, and that involves losing money. But there's, you know, also other financial issues associated with that, such as debt, not being able to afford essential bills, and then other, you know, more extreme cases, which I think we'll talk about a bit later.
Yeah.
But as you can imagine, just as you said there, the pandemic, you know, it's a perfect storm of lots of different issues. So gambling and financial harm definitely coming into play amongst lots of other issues for people as well. And yeah, part of our regular work is to signpost clients to different debt and money services. We've been doing that for a long time. And as you say, the chance to work more closely with you and lots of other organisations across the past 12 months has been absolutely brilliant. That's involved a lot of kind of insight sharing and working together to understand our clients' different experience. And really the goal of that work for us is to make sure that what we want clients to know, we want them to reach out to us, know that they can get support for these issues, that it's consistent wherever they are in their journey, and that they're getting the same messages and the same support. So yeah, we've been really excited to work on that, and that's kind of culminated in the toolkit that we've worked together.
Yeah, definitely. And really, just to really endorse what Megan's just said, you know, 66% of clients that have disclosed an addiction to us at Payplan, it is because it's related to a gambling issue. So the project, you know, the consistent messaging that we've been able to roll out, that consequent staff training that I've been able to deliver has been really invaluable for our clients. So it's been a really exciting 12 months. Okay, so we've received a lot of questions for the session today. So Megan and I are now going to work through those questions and do our very best to answer some of those queries for you. Now, the first question is, gambling addiction is having a real effect on my mental state. What should I do? Okay, that's a massive question really, but it's very much a well-known fact that addiction and mental health are linked, and either one can trigger each other. You know, people can gamble for many different reasons. It can be to escape from their current financial circumstances. You know, gambling can very much be seen as a way out, you know, chasing that win that's going to solve everything. Or when in a social situation, you know, so wants to be part of a group, that real feeling of belonging. Or even just to make themselves feel better. You know, the thrill of that win, the adrenaline rush that it can actually create. But that desire to feel better can ultimately as well get you into debt. It can cause that financial harm, which can then very much spiral out of control. It can be very much a chicken or egg situation, you know, which one came first. But the important thing is just to really recognize that it is having an impact on your mental state. You know, that's one of the first hurdles, to recognize that. But in getting the support that you need, but ultimately talking to somebody about how you're feeling and your gambling is that real first step to getting the real practical and emotional help that is very readily available. You know, given that 80% of our clients that have disclosed a gambling problem to us are men, and when you think about the stat that 3/4 of all suicides are amongst men as well, that is a really frightening statistic, and one that we really want to try and change. Now at Payplan, our advisors will discuss the self-help toolkit that is readily available, things such as the gambling blocks with your banks and the self-exclusion schemes that are available. And for our clients, knowing that these are available can have such a positive impact on mental health, and that there really is a way forward, there really is a way out of that situation. Megan, what would you add to that?
I think I would totally reinforce what you've said there, Emma, which is that mental health and problems because of gambling can be a complete chicken and egg situation. And for a lot of the people that we talk to, it's really difficult to perhaps tell what came first and what is motivating the other one. So I would say that's something we hear from a lot of the people that we speak to and that we connect to on this issue. So if that is what you're feeling, that you're not alone in that case. It's one of the most common things that we're speaking about with people day to day. And our top advice really would be to start talking to somebody about it. If somebody's in a position where they've already recognised that the two are interlinked, that's a lot of the battle won in a sense. And just as you said, on the GamCare side, our team are kind of waiting on your call really to hear about those issues and support you where we can. And we can, make a difference, through that emotional support, but also looking at practical tools to support and help as well, and referring to other organisations as well. And I think I would also really emphasise that to make a call to us or to speak to us on our web chat, you don't have to be in crisis. Even if you're just starting to have a few, perhaps negative feelings about your gambling or when you're gambling, you don't have to wait until things have got really bad. There's no expectations of, what position you might be in when you speak to us. And really, a lot of the case, it's the sooner the better. So the National Gambling Helpline is a great way to kind of start that conversation, and I'll give a few more details on that later. But if you're looking for it right now, visit gamcare.org.uk and you'll find all the information there.
Brilliant. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if you're starting to think that it is starting to affect you in lots of different ways, get help now, basically. Yeah. Okay, the next question is, what are the links between gambling and financial difficulty? So it's leading on to the next steps, really. Again, you can very much look at this as a chicken and egg situation, which one came first. Problem gambling can result in financial harm. Absolutely, it can. And debts that have arisen from gambling. Or it can be the financial difficulty that has actually driven you to gamble in the first place. So low income, for example, job loss, redundancy, generally struggling to keep your head above water financially. Or even, with the current pandemic, if you've been furloughed at the moment, gambling can be very much seen to be a way out of that situation, chasing that win that will very much, change your life potentially and get you out of the financial crisis that you find yourselves in. So the two, I would say, are massively linked. Megan, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. That kind of mindset that you can get into, that the deeper the issues become, the more desperate that you might be to chase that win and, get the fix that might help things go a different way. So, that mindset can be very difficult to overcome. And, as I said earlier, there's a number of different ways that gambling and financial harm interlink. There's the one that's kind of very obvious to see, which is, maybe you go down to the bookmakers and you left with less money than you arrived with, and that's obviously quite visceral and quite plain to see. But then there can be a lot of domino effects of that, really. Not being able to pay essential bills, so things like food, rent, utility bills, that kind of thing, is not uncommon for people who are, in the throes of gambling harms. Not being able to keep up with healthy social activities, things that keep you otherwise occupied. And then there are some others as well that they might be a little bit more unusual, but no less easy to deal with. A lot of people might turn to family and friends to help bail them out of situations, which obviously not only puts a financial strain on them, but can really make personal relationships difficult as well. And then you've got, as you said at the beginning, more people affected. And then, in more extreme cases as well, we've got people who might turn to fraud or crime in order to fund their gambling, and because they feel that it's something they can't do without, which is obviously on the harder end of the spectrum. And also for a lot of people, and I think this one's really important to speak about, is that it might feel that you want to conceal the financial issues that you're having. I think one of the things that we hear about money, it was Talk Money Week only a few weeks ago, is that it's so hard to have that conversation with people. And especially with gambling, there's all kinds of stigma, unfortunately, around these issues. And, can be easy to set up accounts or hide debts in other places, and that concealment can often make things a lot worse. So I think, kind of just a bit of an overview of the different things that people might be going through. But I would really encourage anybody who's experiencing any of those things to try and get a bit more information, try and get support from either of our organisations, because there is good steps that you can take on both sides to control your gambling and get on top of the financial issues that you're experiencing.
Yeah, absolutely, completely. And that links really nicely actually onto the next question. So how do GamCare and Payplan ensure that everyone gets the help they need when faced with gambling related financial harm? So that's linked really well. Well, for ourselves at Payplan, we have ensured that all of our frontline and support staff are fully aware of the help that is available to this type of harm. You know, whether that's in terms of the self-help tools that are available or the various money strategies that can be discussed to really future-proof our clients as much as possible, you know, from a gambling perspective. And then to go on to discuss the debt solutions that are readily available and that can be really tailored to our clients' needs, very much on an individual basis. Now, at Payplan, we know that clients with a gambling-related financial harm situation do fear judgment. They do fear they're going to be discriminated against because of the stigma that Megan and I have already discussed. However, confiding that information to us is that real first step to really recognising the problem. You know, confiding that information to us, as I said, that is the first step, and we are very much here to help as much as possible. You know, we do understand your situation and we do have experience in dealing with this type of dependency. You know, our clients soon learn that there is no judgment from us, no discrimination, and that there is a lot of practical help out there available. And once clients do realise that, once they know all of the things that are available to them, it can be such a turning point for them. And our colleagues are there just to continue to reassure and just guide every step of the way. Megan, what about you?
Yeah, absolutely, Emma. I think everything that we set up for people is kind of designed around exactly what you've said, is that it can be so hard to make that call. And, you know, gambling in itself, you know, is stigmatized in society a lot. Every conversation that we're having, you know, is a real kind of courageous thing that people are doing to, you know, potentially see problems that they're having around this. So the way that we've designed it, we want to make sure that some financial guidance or support is there at every step. So if you're perhaps not at the point where you want to, you know, pick up the phone and speak to a helpline advisor yet, if you look on our website, we've got some great self-assessment tools, we've got some links to some great budgeting tools. So that might be the first step that you take, just to perhaps assess what kind of steps you might want to take forward yourself. But I would really encourage anybody who is thinking that they could benefit from some more support to go to what we would call, I guess, the next line of defence, which is our frontline advisors on the National Gambling Helpline. Just like yourself, Emma, they're all trained to have exactly these conversations. They're completely in confidence, and they've got some really great practical steps that you can take to help get on top of the money worries, which one of them, you know, might be referring to an organisation like yourself as well. And then finally, if there is somebody who comes through to our ongoing treatment and support offer, building in your financial goals around that can become a key part of your plan to recovery there. So for lots of people, the kind of goals that they have in place, one of them might be to get on top of the financial side of gambling and how that's impacting them. So that can be built into your recovery journey.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, Megan, so this next question is one directly for you. So have you at GamCare seen an increase in people coming to you for help during lockdown? And is there a particular group that may be at most risk?
Yeah, well, you know, the first lockdown, especially when, you know, things were the strictest that they've ever been, really interesting and worrying time. We didn't know what to expect at all, what would happen with people's problem gambling behaviour and seeking support. But we've just published some of the findings from this. And they indicate that that first initial lockdown might have exacerbated financial issues for people who were calling us. And I think it's also interesting to think that there will be a longer term impact of those financial issues as well. You know, a lot of people still on furlough at the moment, but perhaps in 6 months' time, when we don't know what things are going to look like with that, we would expect that there will be a bit of a domino effect with that. Unfortunately, at that initial beginning period, we did see a reduction in people who were reaching out to seek support from us. And a couple of reasons we think that happened. One is because it was, you know, a very intense time for everybody. Everyone had a lot on their mind. And perhaps, you know, calling for support or starting to take action on issues perhaps wasn't the first thing on everybody's mind. But we also think that that privacy element, you know, everyone's in their house with friends and family. It can be really difficult to have these more private conversations with people. So we really heavily promoted our web chat service there, and also virtual ways of having ongoing support as well. So I would really emphasize to everybody that, you know, there's no obligation of how long you want to talk. If it's just 10 minutes while you walk around the block or something like that, that's absolutely fine. And yeah, we did see at that time more people engaging in our chat rooms, which we run a couple of times a week, which, you know, is a bit easier to kind of just tap and talk. You know, you can do that while you're sat in front of the telly with others and things like that. Unfortunately, we did also see that some of the safeguarding issues, such as domestic abuse, were coming up more frequently. They were being flagged more frequently. So yeah, you know, a very intense time for people. In terms of who is kind of most affected, normally we're seeing that it's 18 to 35-year-old young men often are most of our client base. But, you know, we really encourage anybody who's experiencing these issues, especially if you're a woman, especially if you're a younger person, that can make it even more difficult to seek support, because you're not, you know, maybe typically what people are thinking about when they're being impacted by problem gambling. So we'd really encourage everybody, you know, our advisors understand lots of the different situations that you're in. So please do come forward, and, you know, lots of options of ways to do that.
Yeah, definitely. I would completely kind of like, you know, mirror exactly what you've just said in terms of, you know, younger men coming to us, that kind of age group. But, you know, please, anybody in that kind of situation, you know, we want to support as much as we possibly can. The next question is, how have both organisations adapted to helping people during lockdown and during the pandemic? Well, at Payplan, we have ensured that we want to meet everybody's communication methods, really. We want to make sure that every single different way of communicating with us is available and we can be contacted on it. So we can talk to our clients over the phone. We very much have a very strong digital route for exactly the reasons that Megan just talked about, for the privacy reasons, making it easier to access, that kind of thing. And that does include email, WhatsApp, web chat, live chat, all those kind of things. And during the pandemic, we've actually even provided video calls so that face-to-face contact is there, because some clients really want that. They want to be able to see some people, whereas other people, it's not the right thing for them. But we just want to make sure that is an option too. We've also made sure that we have a dedicated website with very, you know, lots of practical information and advice about the help that is currently available for all sorts of things. And we've made sure this has very much been updated on a daily basis to ensure that the information is as up to date as possible, because we know how during lockdown things were changing on a daily basis. One thing that we haven't changed though, and I really want to get this message across, is that we always really listen to what our clients do talk to us about and what they do tell us. And because of that, we can really ensure that anything that our clients talk to us about, we are able to record it onto our systems, once we have, of course, permission to do so. And that's really important, because clients in those kind of situations, they don't want to keep repeating their circumstances, because it can be very difficult for them. It can be, you know, very upsetting. And very often it can be the first time they've actually spoken to somebody about their gambling issue, their financial problem. So we try and take the stress out of that as much as we possibly can. And when we're having those conversations, you can almost hear a sigh of relief once they know that, you know, somebody's able to listen to them and offer that real practical support and tell them what they can do to really, you know, change their situation. What about at GamCare, Megan? What have you been doing?
So we, timing could not have been better. We were really fortunate that in the past year we've just converted our helpline to be 24 hours a day. Previously we were just in the daytime and into the late evening, and we think that that's been really important. All of those things that we just talked about with kind of privacy and discretion, really important that whatever time of day you call us, you can expect the same support, information, advice. And that we're there for you really with that all throughout the year as well. And one thing that we thought was really important during that initial period of lockdown, all of these different anxieties coming at people, and also practical issues as well, that people had never considered before. So we put together some comms and some social media campaigning with a number of different organisations, which included financial services, but also Samaritans, Cruise Bereavement Care, and also Refuge, who are a domestic abuse charity, just to kind of reinforce that often all of those issues can be interlinked, and we definitely want to make sure that people who are seeking help for one issue also know where else they can turn to support as well. So we've been so pleased to partner with those organisations, and it's really important to us that everybody's getting kind of a whole package of what will support them with recovery as well. And just as you say, Emma, a very unpredictable time for people who don't know what to expect, so trying to keep that information up to date as much as possible, and really take the time to listen to people and hear what's going on for them has been really important.
Yeah, definitely. The next question we have, again, Megan, this one is directly to you, but it says, I've been using betting apps casually for a while and I'm worried that it's becoming a problem. When should I seek help? So at what point does casual gambling become problem gambling?
Well, it's a brilliant question, and just to speak directly to whoever asked this question, I think it's absolutely brilliant that you're having those reflections at this point in your journey with gambling and starting to ask questions. And I think that's something that we would really encourage anybody who gambles, or anybody who thinks they may gamble in the future. It's a really healthy attitude to have. You don't have to be experiencing problems to take stock of kind of where you're at with these kind of things. So absolutely, so encouraging to hear that this person's already reflecting on the way that gambling is changing for them. And that can be one of the hardest parts of changing gambling habits, is taking that step and recognizing that there might be issues happening. As I said earlier, it's never too early to seek help. So you might not feel, well, everything's kind of turning on its head now, it's becoming really difficult. You might not feel that way now. And we've got some different ways that you can get a bit of support for whatever stage you're at. So a great first step, if you're starting to think, is this a bit of a problem? Where might this be leading? We have a self-assessment tool on our website, which you just answer a couple of questions, and it can kind of give you a bit of an indicator of, okay, well, in the broader context, this is perhaps how at risk you might be of experiencing some of the negative impacts. And it'll also give you some, really quick tips and advice of what you might do after that. If you've got more questions and you think it might be helpful to have a sounding board, definitely please call the National Gambling Helpline rather. And if it the conversation goes that way, definitely seeking our ongoing treatment service as well. But it's really fine line between casual gambling and problem gambling, and that might look different for every person as well. I think one thing we always emphasize is there's no set amount of money that you lose that makes you somebody who's experiencing problems with gambling. Could be loads of different amounts of money for different people. So it's when you start thinking about either having a negative impact on my financial life or my social life, so your interactions with other people, or maybe your work and things like that, and then also your psychological health as well. So those are the three kind of categories that we're normally encouraging people to reflect on. And if you do start to notice negative impacts in any of those, a great time to seek help.
Yeah, absolutely. And just one point for me to say, really, it's really important that you are able to recognize those real financial warning signs. So very much things such as, you know, using money that's actually meant to cover your bills and your living expenses, or should be used to pay your rent or your mortgage, going into debt, you know, taking out loans and credit cards and things to actually cover the cost of gambling. And you mentioned this earlier, Megan, about friends and family. So borrowing money from friends and family, you know, all those kind of things are very much, you know, triggers that could actually becoming a problem with gambling. And also being economical with the truth from your partner or your friends and family are all very much indicators and triggers, as I said, that could indicate that things are starting to escalate a little bit more, and time to get some help and talk to somebody about it. And again, this leads into the next question. So I'm having to gamble to pay my bills. What should I do? And what help is there for people with gambling debt? Well, for me, basically, in a word, lots. There is lots of things that you can do. Talk to us now. I think hopefully we're coming to the point throughout this session that it's all about reaching out for that help, you know, talking to somebody in whichever way you wish to communicate. Recognizing that there is an issue, first and foremost, you know, is that real first step that you really do need to take. As I mentioned before, you know, we do offer that free debt advice, and no matter what the problem is, we will be there to help you find a solution. The key thing is to break the cycle, you know, break the cycle of what's continually happening with the gambling and financially being out of control. And we can very much help with that. Sometimes the hardest part is actually admitting that you do have a problem or you do have concerns with regards to what your current situation is, and then asking for help. But if you can bring yourself to do that, if you do realise that people are there just to genuinely help and support you, then you're well on your way to not only resolving your own financial situation, but also regaining control of your life in a lot of circumstances too. Meg, anything that you would add to that?
Yeah, just, you know, really exactly the same as you, Emma. The bottom line is, if you're having any of these thoughts or, you know, any questions about this, please do reach out to us whenever you're ready. You know, we're here for you literally any time of day to, you know, give that support, just listen and give you some information that might help. So yeah, as well as getting financial guidance from organisations like Payplan, really important to start thinking about changing your gambling behaviour where you can, so that it doesn't become a problem that repeats itself either for you or your family as well. I think, you know, that's something that we've perhaps not touched on so much today, which is, you know, what does it look like? Perhaps that debt is coming from, I'm actually, you know, bailing out my son or something like that because of their problems with gambling. So, you know, incredibly difficult situation that, and, you know, can put a lot of strain on it. And, you know, we're as much there for people who are experiencing negative impacts because of somebody else's gambling as we are for the gambler themselves.
Yeah, definitely. And then the next question we have is, how do GamCare and Payplan work together to ensure that everyone gets the help that they need? So exactly your point, Megan, not just people that are actually gambling themselves, it's the people having that impact. Well, as I said earlier, you know, we can signpost our clients to GamCare for that real extra practical and helpful support that obviously GamCare provide. That can be simply just giving the contact details for GamCare, you know, empowering somebody to do that themselves. Or we can actually make a direct referral directly from us to GamCare. Some clients can't take that step themselves. They can't reach out for help. They lack the confidence, or they really lack the ability or the energy to do so a lot of the time, particularly when they are also struggling with their mental health, when they've got, you know, the combination of several things. Again, clients may feel rejection, that they won't be listened to. So actually allowing us to refer clients directly gets them the help and support that they really need. Now, we've done this on several occasions recently, particularly during lockdown. And this hasn't just been for somebody that's actually disclosed their gambling issue, but also family members. You know, family members that have actually been impacted financially and emotionally by that gambling and related financial harm. And having that support network around them, knowing that they have people around them in similar situations, it really does make a difference. It makes them feel they're just not so isolated. You know, it does happen to other people. So I'd really like to thank everybody at GamCare for supporting, the clients that we've had with that as well. Now, GamCare and Payplan have also been working together on a recent project, and this is the gambling-related financial harm. Megan, would you like to explain a little bit further about that?
Sure. So yeah, as I said at the beginning, that relationship between gambling and financial harm is really inextricable. It's, coming up with most of the people that we're speaking to on a daily basis and that we're supporting. This has been a, big issue on our agenda for a long time. But we were really, really fortunate. I think it was probably about 18 months ago now that myself and you and a couple of others from Payplan first met, which was great. And that was just great timing, because that was around the time when we started a bigger project, working with lots of different organisations across different sectors. So many guidance services like yourself, financial services, so banks and building societies, and also the gambling businesses as well, to look at how can we make sure that the person's journey who is, experiencing gambling harms, how can we make sure their journey is throughout all our different organisations is the best that it can be. So we've had some brilliant conversations with those organisations, hearing, how, it can be a really different story that you might hear from one set of insights and one conversation than another. So it's been absolutely critical that we've kind of joined together and shared those insights, and we just feel really proud to have produced a toolkit which has got lots of different things in there for organisations to use, different communications tools, referral pathways, and also some training guides. So if you're an organisation, who is hearing either financial issues or gambling issues separately or together coming up, I'd really encourage you to take a look at our toolkit. We've got some really practical steps that you can take to help your customers. And just on a organizational note, it's been absolutely brilliant to have Payplan. You guys are so dedicated to the work that you're doing for your service users and ours as well. So it's been really great to work with you, and invaluable insight into that toolkit. If anyone does want to use that toolkit, if you just Google gambling related financial harm toolkit, which is a bit of a mouthful, that's the top result you'll see. And I think that there's a link to it on Payplan's website, and information about it on ours as well. So yeah.
Fab, great. Next few questions just really covers contact details, on what happens next, really. So how can I get in touch with organisations such as yourselves? Well, as I said, we offer free debt advice to everybody, and we have lots of different ways that you can reach out to us, whether that's phone, email, digitally, WhatsApp, live chat, video calls. We're really flexible in whichever way you want to talk to us or communicate with us. We will have a method there that suits your needs. And we can mix between the two as well. If one day you want to call us, but then the next day then engage in email, that's fine. We can offer that flexibility between any method that you want to talk to us about. We just really want to make sure that actually we just accommodate your needs, and that that we're there to help you. But all that information and all our telephone numbers is available on the Payplan website. Megan, what about yours?
Yeah, for us as well, the website is really the first port of call. So that's gamcare.org.uk. On there, you'll find some of those practical things that I talked about, like the self-assessment tool, but you'll also find information about all of our services, and some information about where you are in the country and what's available to you there. I should just say, haven't said it yet, all of our services are free of charge. So every conversation that you have with us, is in confidence, and at no point will you be expected to pay for any of the information or support from GamCare. So yeah, I would definitely encourage everybody to visit the website, where you can find all of those phone numbers and all of the contact details to take the next step and find out a little bit more about what's out there.
Next question is, can I get other help from partner organisations? Well, certainly yes is the word from us. As we've touched on already, we have really good relationships with many other organisations. Samaritans is the perfect example of that, as Megan does at GamCare. So we are able to signpost to many other partner organisations, and if necessary as well, we can source the help that you actually need on an individual basis. So yes, absolutely we can do. Megan?
Yeah, same for us. If you visit our website, there's some really great pages, especially on financial tips there. So if you take a look, you'll kind of see we've got a database of what different tools that banks offer and things like that. So if you want to know what your bank can do to support you, do take a look at that. And then we've also got other listings around kind of mental health services, Samaritans, that kind of thing. But I would also say anytime that you chat with a helpline advisor on the web chat, or you speak to them in person, or you have ongoing support from us, they are armed with all of those details and all of those good connections as well. So yeah, lots of interconnection there, and lots of different support available to everyone.
Okay, great, thank you. So we've discussed a lot today already, and we're very much running out of time, but from my perspective, I just really want to emphasize that it really is all about talking to somebody and really reaching out for that help, discussing your circumstances and getting help with that gambling now. Being made aware of the self-help that is available and that professional support is so empowering for all of our clients. And we'll also be there to support you, every step of the way. But in terms of what's next, well, for us at Payplan, we will continue to work on many projects with our external partners to ensure that help is there for clients in all sorts of different vulnerable situations. But that also includes the next phase of the project with GamCare as well, which is really exciting. What about yourselves, Megan?
Yeah, absolutely. We're always kind of thinking about what's the next step. We've got this great piece of work done this year, and really pleased that next year we'll be kind of drawing organisations such as yourselves and lots of others a bit closer together, and also the voice of lived experience as well. So how can we use people's personal experience to help inform some best practice, which really at the end of the day, that's what we do all our work for, is our service users. So really exciting for that to kind of continue on. As you say, it's extremely difficult subject to talk about and broach, but really pleased to have the opportunity to speak about it.
But the more people talk about it, then the easier it's going to become, and that stigma is going to be removed, which is the aim of what we want to do, isn't it? A lot of the aim of that. Okay, so thank you very much for joining the session today, and I really hope that we've been able to answer the really great questions that have been put forward on such an emotive and such a difficult subject to talk about as well. And I hope that just this kind of like half an hour in itself has taken away some of the stigma that people might think is associated with problem gambling, and then the related financial harms that come with it. But mainly, I really hope that anybody that's listened to this today has been really, empowered by it, and that they've been really reassured that help, is just a call or, email away, whatever that looks like to you. And taking that first step of getting that support will really make a difference.
Yeah, just to echo exactly what you've said there, Emma, I really hope that anybody who hears this, feels encouraged to get a bit more information, get that support, perhaps have that first conversation. And, with GamCare, that's all in confidence, completely free of charge, and, always really happy to help and hear from people as well. So yeah, just to say thank you so much for organising this, Emma and the team at Payplan. Really good opportunity to speak about this.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much, Megan, for joining on this today. And like I say, I really hope that we've touched a few people and got the right message across. So thank you very much all for listening. Take care, everybody, and stay safe.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.